How many of you remember a time where you could just pray for somebody and they would just be delivered? They would be set free and they don't recognize, oh, how I got free and things of that nature. But you've been praying and warring for these people and things of that nature and they just get free. And now it seems like we're in a day and age and time right now where you got the war in order for somebody to get set free. But nowadays you can't set people free or pray for people to just be set free. The people have to participate in their freedom. People have to want to be made free, because when we deliver people and set people free from things that they are not ready for, they go back to, and then there's the demons are 7 times worse than they were in the person before we set them free or did deliverance in the first place. God showed me something, when he having me do these videos talking about the separation and, how it's like demonic activity that is taking place in people, and the people aren't the people that we used to love back then, even though they are the same people who are biological, who gave birth to us, who are our children, who are our siblings, who are our, aunts and uncles and things of that nature. They are the same people in a shell of the people who ordained us and licensed us and who we highly respected as preachers and teachers and leaders and things of that nature. But now these people, they're like walking dead. Like they are walking, but they are dead. We have people who have turned themselves over and decided that this is what I'm going to be. I've decided that I'm not going to forgive anybody. I decided that I'm going to walk in bitterness. I decided that I'm going to be petty. I decided that I'm going to live in this sin. So because they have made the decision that they are going to walk in pride and arrogance and unforgiveness and things of that nature, these demons that they have, you can't just cast the demon out, because they have different spirits that are in their soul entwined and fighting against them coming to the knowledge of who God is, and even coming to the recognition that they need God in their lives. So they are walking dead. When you think about the series Walking Dead, and I mean from The Walking Dead to Fear Walking Dead and all of the spinoffs, there's only one way to kill these demons, and you got to hit them in the head. You got to hit them with the sword or whatever you get in your hand. You got to kill the brain. You got to kill the head, kill whatever is operating and making this thing continue to walk and dead, that is coming after you and coming for you. Now, this thing has no soul because it don't feel nothing, and it keeps coming at you until you hit the right spot. The same way we must be when it comes to us dealing with people. Now, we're not going to take anything physical and hurt anybody. But the only way you can pierce through that demon is to make people realize that they have a demon, that these are soul wounds, that these are issues and things that are going on within them that needs to be dealt with. But if they don't want to deal with it, you can't pray a demon away. You can't pray for people to get something that they don't want. You could pray for them to come to their sanity, for you to be able to reach, for God to be able to give you that open door that reveals to them that this is what's controlling them and this is what's happening to them. But you can't superimpose your will over somebody else's will for somebody to be made whole. There are people who comment, what can I do? Like, how can I save my family? This, that, and the other. But when you look at The Walking Dead, and I know it's a series and this is something that people made up and things of that nature, but you really need to pay attention, because the shell of what was is still there. And people are still in love with the shell of what a person was. In The Walking Dead, for those of you who have watched The Walking Dead, you see people's loved ones. People are crying because this is their loved one who has been turned into a zombie. This is their loved one who they were married to for years, but they also had to realize that if they allow that loved one to stay in their presence, to stay around them, to come through to them, the loved one is either going to bite them and infect them, or the loved one is going to eat them alive, because the loved one is no longer there. It is the shell. And it is the same with many of us who love people who keep traumatizing, who keeps throwing things in our face and doing everything to hurt and to vex and to torment us. And we stay in the surroundings and in the presence of these people until they bite you in the right spot and get you infected with the poison that is in them. And if they can continue on, they will gang up on you, or they will continue to eat you alive, because it only takes one of them to get a hold of you. So when we look at the Walking Dead, and we know that people are walking dead, because when we read Ephesians chapter 2, which is the chapter about the walking dead, you who were dead in your trespasses and sins, who walked according to this world, but we wasn't walking in the spirit, you was walking in the flesh. So I'm paraphrasing that part, but if you read Ephesians chapter 2, it talks about the walking dead. There are people who are walking today because they have grasped and they are holding on to their sin. They don't want to change. They want to hold on to the sins. They want to change. They want to stay in the things that they do. They don't want to change. They want to stay in the position. They want to worship who they worship. They want to live the way they want to live. They want to do the things that they do. They have, many of them, their conscience has been numb. So because their conscience has been numb, because of the pain, because of the fears, because of the rejections, because of the things of the past that have happened to them, instead of them being like the demoniac in Mark chapter 5 and finding their way to Jesus, recognizing that they need help, recognizing that there is hope in Jesus, they continue to stay the way that they are, instead of making the choice that I need healing, I need out of this thing. Some of them, they love the weapons that they have formed, the defense mechanisms that they have put up that defend them and that keep them from feeling and keep them in a state of numbness. And it doesn't matter how much you love them and how much you want them and how much you want to be with them, they are no longer feeling, and they are in a state of, this is what they want to be. Now, you can fast and you can pray and you can do everything that you need to do for the people. But if they don't choose to give their lives over to Christ to be delivered from the issues that they are going through, then they are going to have to be put in a state where the people in the Walking Dead series were put in, where you're going to have to get away from them. Either you're going to get away from them and let them walk in the way that they are walking, or you're going to have to, I'm not saying physically exterminate anybody, because we don't do that. You know, that's not something, you can't put your will and your choice over somebody else's. But what I'm saying is their mind is made up to be who they are, who they have become. And if you stay in that state, it's going to bring you to a state of where it is that you don't need to be. So when healing needs to take place and things of that nature, it has to be something that they want. Even though in The Walking Dead, they don't have a choice because they are dead. I used to watch The Walking Dead and think about, I wonder, do these people know that they're dead? You know, do they even recognize that they're dead? Do they have any type of consciousness of being dead? And it wasn't until I watched Fear of the Walking Dead, and I believe it was Morgan, where his wife was walking down the street as a zombie, and she comes to the door and turned the doorknob as if she remembered that was where she still lived. You know, and that brought up a whole bunch of other questions, which I'm not going to talk about in this because that's not what this is about. But my point is that many of us, we are still looking at people as if these people are still who they have always been, or who we have always seen them to be. When people have turned themselves over to a reprobate mind, people have turned themselves over to sin, people have turned themselves over to being walking dead, and now that God is separating you, it's painful for you because you think that everybody can go with you, but everybody cannot go with you. And it's not your problem or your fault that people choose to be who and what they've chosen to do and to be, but your job is to keep them in prayer and to pray that, you know, knowing that it's not too late for them to come to their right mind. But you also have to separate yourself and be about the Father's business and do the work that God has called you to do, because you're worried about somebody else. You know, no matter how you try to keep them and confine them and hope for a solution and things of that nature, the solution is not coming if it is not something that they want for themselves. So you have to be about the Father's business and know that the time is short. Know that you are on assignment. You are called to set the captives free, but you can't set people free who don't want to be free. And that's just the gist of it. Just keep people in prayer and keep on being about the Father's business.